All right. It's another great Monday here. Super exciting. We got some good news. We got some good updates. Really interesting stuff that's coming through the line over the weekend. We're gonna hit. We're gonna hit on the new ChatGPT 4 model that's coming out. It would be ignorant of us to not mention the Silicon Valley Bank, so we'll chat about that briefly. But we got some good stuff. So if you're interested in chatting about AI, interested in hear about what's coming up with ChatGPT 4, you want a pop cultural reference, that's what we're here for today. We're going to run through some stuff. So if you're on platform, appreciate you coming in, appreciate you chatting with me. If you're on one of the other platforms out there, you're not on Twitch and you're struggling with stream, come over to Twitch. It's free. You don't have to have an account. Just come in, ask your questions. If you are on another platform, you have questions, feel free to let me know what you guys want to talk about and what is going on. I appreciate all of you greatly coming in bright and early on this Monday, enjoying our nice cup of coffee here. I'm gonna let some people roll in on the other platforms before we get into everything. Coffee and water are good things. Good things. Make sure you stay hydrated on this Monday. For those of you who don't know, this is the Synth Reality Tech Talk. My job is to make you feel more comfortable and educated on emerging technologies so that you can go out there and be an advocate. My name is Robert Petrosino, futurist technologist, emerging tech guy, and all-around great guy here focused on making you more confident in what you do on a daily basis, and go out there and advocate for emerging tech in your world, whether it's you individually or you in your company. Appreciate everyone coming in. Looking forward to chatting about this topic today. It's going to be a good one. Going to keep it light, keep it fun. But with that, we're going to talk about ChatGPT 4. We got some information over the weekend about it, and it's some good information. Actually came from the CTO of Microsoft in Germany, which is pretty cool. So for those of you who are interested in knowing when ChatGPT 4 is going to be coming out, stick around. We're going to talk about that right now. With that, we're going to transition over to the screen share. Okay, so you may have, if you're plugged into the news, you may have seen this already, but we're going to dive into this. This is actually Heise Online. This is a German publication. We have it translated to English, so I'm sorry if there's any translation issues. However, we have to get through this because this is the main primary source of the quotes that you're seeing across a lot of different platforms. We're going to dive into some of the videos as well, or some of the images that you're seeing rather, and chat about it. So ChatGPT 4 is coming out next week. So this is published on the 9th. Okay, so we should be seeing it at some point this week when ChatGPT 4 gets launched. Because it's coming out this week, it's being aligned to a couple things that Microsoft has released earlier this month that flew underneath the radar. However, because of the CTO of Germany's comments, we think that they may be aligned together a little bit faster. So during a 1-hour hybrid event called AI and Focus Digital Kickoff on the 9th, there's 4 Microsoft Germany employees, including the CTO Andreas Bahn from Germany, and a few data scientists that were as well there. What they said though right off the bat was, we will announce ChatGPT next week. So ChatGPT 4 is next week, which is this week, which will have a multimodal modules that will have a completely different possibilities, including video. So what's interesting about this is earlier in the month, Microsoft released a multimodal repository, GitHub paper, and write-up about this specific comment. Okay, this multimodal expression. Multimodal AI is the ability to overlay multiple AI models together, machine learning models together, large learning models, etc., into a formatable way so that they can intake, process, and then export information. Okay, so that's multiple different types of models. One of them can be video, one of them can be large language models, etc. So because of that, what we're basically seeing is that there is going to be a very high likelihood that this comes out next week, not only by these comments, but with completely different use cases that we're going to see. We're going to dig into some of those use cases in the next slide here, but let's go through this first. So they say it's going to be a game changer. Basically, as it stands right now, ChatGPT works in all languages. You can ask a question in German and get an answer in Italian, and Microsoft/OpenAI will make models more comprehensive. Okay, so what does that mean? What does possibilities like video mean? Well, earlier this month, they being Microsoft, released a new paper that came out. This was actually from the first. Zoom in a little bit here. And what was interesting about this paper was that they released a really, really interesting portion of this paper. And that paper, in short, allowed us to see what large language models paired with multimodal language systems would give us. So a multimodal large language model like Cosmos 1 that is discussed here can perceive both language, learning context, reason, and generate. So it's giving you vision and audio outputs. This is extremely interesting because you can now ask ChatGPT/OpenAI/whatever multimodal model that you're looking at here what a photo is. What's in this picture? It looks like a duck. Well, it's not a duck. What is it? It looks more like a bunny because it has bunny ears. So what this is actually doing is describing how the multimodal model works. You can give it a straight long form text description, and then it will give you a photo and a question, and it'll define who that is. And it also will give you these here's 8 images. Which one of these is actually correct? So what's interesting here is that they're doing a couple different things. You can input prompt, question, explain why this photo is funny. All right, if I input a photo, and it will then generate an answer. So it's actually using multimodal, so image perception, visualization. It's going to understand that, and then transition over and use that to process into a more intelligent answer. Why is this boy crying? Answer: because the scooter broke. Not bad. When was this movie released? Just a straight photo. So it's going to do image recognition. It's going to understand what's in that image, and then it's going to formulate an answer based on the likelihood of the things in that image. When we look at this, some humans, for this one specifically, we may say, well, the boy fell off of his scooter. Well, there may be a higher likelihood and perception or probability that the scooter is broken because there's a lot of scooter broken reviews on Amazon, etc. So that's really, really important to think about, is how is this information being determined? Okay. Question: what's the heart rate in the picture below? Our picture, 57 beats per minute. So it's reading that, and it's also engaging in analog clocks. So really, really well done here. There's a lot of different examples. There's a lot of different examples. And this is a good thing because we're going to see a bunch of different use cases. So when we're making these determining ones up here, it's actually reading an image, which is great. So this may be your CAPTCHA beating system for those of you who know what that is, and checking off I am a human. But what we also get is projected ideas, projected ability to understand what is actually in a photo. So what is inside this canned good? Okay, so what it's actually doing is image recognition. It's determining what this is and then producing that it is corn. Okay, Here we see a parking sign that says waiting, please turn off your engine. Here we see a portion of one of the books. So it says a fine, fine school, and it does not know that the second word is fine. We're seeing this because it's segmenting and understanding what's in the actual image and then generating a response that aligns to that directly. So that's a really interesting thing here. There's a lot of information about training objectives and evaluation of this information. This paper goes on for 25 or so pages, but we can basically use this one. What it's basically saying is, from this photo, we're getting Wally giving a potted plant to Eve. So blank embedding an image of Wally giving a potted plant. Zero shot learning here is a different portion of that. It's basically saying a large language model is going to embed these different things. Question: what did Wally give Eve as an answer? Eve as a gift. Answer: potted plant. And then it'll say, question: what is Wally's hand? Answer: a Rubik's Cube. So it's doing the segmentation and selection of these as well. So it's segmenting out the question and information from here. So it's going to do some recognition of what's actually in the hand. It's going to understand who Wally is because it's going to prompt the computer or machine learning system to identify the character. Once it identifies the character, it then can understand what's in their hand. It can also use contextual information from other sources to understand where that's coming from. So guys, when we say that this is kind of revolutionary, it is massively important to think through various use cases. So let's talk about those use cases. The CEO of Microsoft Germany spoke and said, we still have a lot of legacy in our companies and keep old treasures alive for years. She also then says, the migration of old darlings should be considered. My assumption is, and I don't speak German, old darlings is in a reference to systems or processes that were done forever that may not be the best for the actual organization. We've always done it this way, so maybe we need to transition out of it. She also emphasized that the democratization is extremely important. This is obviously embedded in the AI is embedded into several Microsoft products already, but understanding that Microsoft does not use users' customer data to train the models, which is super interesting as well. However, there is a feedback loop that's available when you thumbs up or thumbs down a piece of information that gets back. So let's get into the use cases that are self-identified from the Microsoft team here, which are right through this section. So what they're saying is the three most common uses. All right, let's talk about this real quick. There can be millions of queries mapped to Microsoft APIs because of the infrastructure that's dedicated around ChatGPT, which is really interesting because it's quite easy to plug and play different APIs into the overall system, which is great. Then they go through, and according to Clements CBR, sorry for the pronunciation, they said that there is going to be several really strong use cases or predominant use cases that we're seeing the most. It includes answering questions on company knowledge that is only accessible to employees. So that is the internal chatbot system that we've talked about in the past. And AI-assisted document processing. So that is AI reading specific documentation, processing, and then exporting it out into a summarized format or bulleted format or some other response generated from that content that is understood, and a semi-automated process by spoken language in a call and a response center. So this last one is really interesting. So this is where we get that voice multimodal. So we're actually getting straight natural language processing, right, which is conversion of voice, and then spoken language into a call center for a response. So according to Sieber, that last use case could save 500 working hours a day for a large Microsoft customer in the Netherlands, which receives 30,000 calls a day. Okay, so obviously at scale, there's a significant number of individuals that are making calls to this directly. So you could save over 500 hours of working man hours, working people hours, overall, because of just this last spoken language in a response center. What I find interesting here is these are 3 very straightforward use cases so far that they're explaining. But they also go into saying that they don't train on customer data. However, they build upon the customer feedback loop, which is that reinforced learning system that we've talked about in the past, where humans reinforce the learning and output of a specific company. And the reason they do that is because they can increase the proper responses from a system externally, which is great. This is what we want to see when it comes to these types of systems. Now, we talked about the multimodal that was released earlier, but there's also, I won't play this portion, but AI wrote a portion of the new South Park episode on deep learning, where one of the characters is actually messaging his girlfriend, and it says reply. He's actually straight using ChatGPT to reply to text messages by copy and pasting them into here, and then replying to them directly, which is a very witty and well done way of aligning to South Park's comedy and how they talk about things. So that is the latest information about ChatGPT 4 and where it's coming out and what's actually happening. Pretty excited to see how everything pans out, but based on this multimodal language system is going to be important and drastically impactful to different users, and how it actually gets done is going to be interesting within a specific organization. So understanding where things are going, understanding what's new and what's coming out is equally important for everyone, and make sure you understand how these things can drastically change. So if you have a use case revolving around increasing efficiency of internal employees, you should be looking at AI for sure. With that, I appreciate your time. Thanks for checking in. Thanks for checking out on the VOD. Make sure you check out the socials below. Happy to chat with you if you have any questions. But with that,